Hello, I'm Mark Kepp with CampgroundViews.com. Today we're going to give you some tips on how to discover the Florida Keys in your RV. First place to start, CampgroundViews.com. If you noticed, I've searched Florida Keys. That's not really a good way to start out. You actually want to search Isla Morada or one of the other island names to start out your query. Once you get in there, change your radius out to 100 miles, and you'll see why those two things are important. Number one, the Florida Keys are an island chain. So it's not a city, it's not a state. You can't search Key Largo, but you have to search the names of the different islands. So you've got Key Largo, Tavernier, Isla Morada, Duck Key, and all the way out to Key West. You have Big Pine Key also in the middle there. That's an important one because there's a number of parks in that area. Also on Marathon, there's a number of parks. Getting to the Florida Keys is the big question. Why do you go to the Florida Keys? Well, if it's the winter time, you're usually leaving somewhere north of here, heading down to the warm weather. In the summertime, the Keys are also popular, and it's mostly for folks from this area getting out of that hot, humid mess and down into a little bit cooler, humid mess. So the Keys are popular both summer and winter, winter being the primary season, but a lot of these parks actually do very well during the summertime too, with locals coming down there. So if you're heading down to the Keys, how do you get here? Easiest way, most direct route is I-95. Take it straight down, and you'll just go along the coast all the way through Daytona Beach, down through Miami, and then out to the Keys. If you don't like traffic, want to get a more scenic route, some of these interior routes through Florida offer you a unique perspective on the state, a little bit prettier drive, and less trafficked also. Through Sebring, all the way around Lake Okeechobee, this US 27 drops down, and you can actually drop right into almost Homestead. You kind of come down this back road here, this, zoom in and give you a better shot. This, you see US 27 comes straight down, you taper off on this 997 here, and it runs right along the Everglades straight down into Homestead and allows you access into the Keys. That's a better route if you're in an RV and you don't want to deal with the traffic that takes place out on the highways here through Miami. Once to the Keys, the only route is the one from Homestead. Once you get on the highway here, this is it. You're going in. Alternatively, you can take the side road, this Card Sound Road, out and through Key Largo. There is a toll through that route, so you will have to pay a little bit, but it offers an alternative, especially if the one happens to be backed up due to an accident or something like that. There's not a lot of camping up in this region here, this North Key Largo. It's a little bit more remote, a little bit more natural. Coming down onto the Keys, you'll be going over a series of bridges. That's what the Highway 1 is. Through the Keys, it's a series of bridges all the way out to Key West. And you follow the route of the original train setup that got to Key West. And you'll see that along your drive as you're going out here. Now for camping ideas, where to stay, where do you want to stay, and what do you want to do? First thing to realize about the Florida Keys is that they are expensive compared to everywhere else. Why is that? There's very little real estate, property values are high, and there's a huge demand for sites. Don't be surprised if rates are $2,500 a month plus for RV sites. Some of these can run up into the $5,000 a month range during peak season. So where do we stay? Where should you stay? There's a number of private RV parks and campgrounds all along the Florida Keys. Can I recommend any one of them? Not really. It depends on your needs, your budget, and where you want to stay. If you're going down for the first time, generally you want to stay in 3 spots: at the beginning, the middle, and then again out at the end. It allows you to take in the whole area without having to drive the route. The problem with US 1 through the Keys is that the speed limit is pretty low, anywhere from 35 to 45 miles an hour. There are sections where it bumps up to 55, but overall it's just 2 lanes of traffic, 1 lane going each direction. There's not a lot of passing zones, so it takes about an hour, hour and a half to get from Key Largo out to Key West. And that's if you're lucky. So you want to stay in the 3 areas. That way you can kind of experience them without having to worry about driving back and forth along the road. State parks. The Florida Keys have some of the most beautiful state parks in all of the country. Right here we've got Long Key State Park. You've also got several other parks out along the water. And let's see, I'll pull up an example. One, Curry Hammock State Park is a beautiful state park. Long Key Pine Campground, that is actually not even out there. That is right here in the Everglades, so we'll ignore that one. But where to stay? First stop, Key Largo. There's a number of campgrounds in Key Largo. I just left them all because I switched pages on you. The one I'd like to recommend is the state park. Even if you don't stay at John Pennekamp, still go into John Pennekamp. Why? You can hop on a boat that takes you out to the coral reefs located out along the shoreline here in the Florida Keys. There is camping at John Pennekamp. Not the most scenic campgrounds, they're kind of tucked back in there, but you're in the park and there's trails and there's kayaking plus access to the boats and the mangroves. So from a camping perspective, it's not exactly super scenic. As you can see, the tent site's kind of in the trees, nothing really spectacular. We have a video on this one too. But that's a great spot if you want to go check out the coral reef. Otherwise, you do have private campgrounds located all along here. Kings Camp is a popular location. Also Key Largo Campground and Marina. A few of these are more of seasonal, long-term sites. Some of these carefree resorts, for example, have long-term guests. But overall, most of these parks have short-term sites and have availability depending upon the month and week. Just call ahead and find out if there's a spot. Next spot to consider stopping is out near Marathon. There's a number of campgrounds along here. And there's also one that is an Encore Park located on Sunset Key. And I'll get it by pulling up Big Pine Key. The reason I mention this park is it's an Encore Park, so a lot of folks will have discounts to Encore or Thousand Trails. It offers you discounted camping at this location, and the location itself is, as the name suggests, a key. It is an island, and the RV park is situated on that island. There's both seasonal sites and short-term sites. As you can see from the satellite view, the whole RV park basically takes up all the landmass of the island. They have seasonal sites along the marina here. There's a boat launch. You can hop in your kayak, paddle out into this channel. There's a current here in this channel. You go underneath the bridge, paddle right around, and you can hit the beaches of Bahia Honda. Now, I mentioned Bahia Honda because there's also a campground here. This is considered one of the prettiest campgrounds in all of America, and you'll see pretty pictures from here from people who stay. There's tent sites on the inland side of the island, and then there's RV sites on this end overlooking the old bridge. It's a very scenic spot to camp and very popular for that reason. Pull up some videos so you can see, or some photos to give you an idea of what there is to offer here. Big problem with all the state parks in Florida is that they book the second reservations open. It varies by year, but generally it's about 6 months out you can book your stay. And there are people who know exactly what dates they're going, and at 12:01 a.m. they are on the website booking and reserving their site. So if you're lucky enough to get a site, good for you. Otherwise, start looking at some of these private parks that offer you discounted rates. So that's Sunset Key. You can also stay in Marathon. Marathon is the most active of the keys. City-wise, there's a lot of shopping, groceries, food, and fuel located on that island. There's also a number of campgrounds. One we discovered when we were here this last time is called Bonefish. Should pull up right there, Bonefish Bay. This is a newer park, and they offer some waterfront sites and seasonal sites, but it's a pretty location. It's a packed gravel, and they have a marina. It's newer, so people don't tend to know about it yet, and they were building some additional sites when we were there. You can see it's not exactly green grass and such, but you're right on the water. So that's a little insider tip on a location to call. Again, that's Bonefish Bay RV Park and Motel. Nice little spot. They have reasonable rates for the Keys. I'll put that caveat on there. For the Keys, anywhere else you would freak, but for the Keys it's reasonable. As you head out to Key West now, the rates tend to go up. There's some really pretty campgrounds out here. None that I would recommend over the other. They're all really nice. Question is Key West. Can I camp an RV in Key West? The answer is yes. In fact, there's a very beautiful campground in Key West right on the water. And I'm going to pull up the satellite view because we don't have it listed. Why don't we have it listed? Where is it? Somewhere in here. We don't have it listed because it's a military campground. Only retired military can stay at it. And that means all of us normal folks don't get to experience it. Other than that, there is no camping on Key West itself. Closest camping is on Stock Island. There's several choices here. There's Leo's Campground, Boyd's Key West, and the Elmar RV Resort. What I want to show you real fast is the Elmar. This one is probably one of the more exclusive RV parks in the Keys, and that's primarily because there's only 10 full hookup sites. But the sites themselves all back up to the water. They're nice paved concrete pads and pretty exclusive little location. That is Elmar RV Resort, and that one's out just past Boyd's Key West off the 1. Now Boyd's is a very popular spot. You've probably heard of it if you're heading to the Keys. A lot of folks stay there. It's a large site, a large location. The sites themselves are a bit packed in there, but we've seen some big rigs that can pull into there. Then there's Leo's. Leo's is best suited to folks with smaller RVs. This overhead shot kind of gives you an idea, but if you go down and watch our video, you'll see what we mean. They use a shoehorn to get these rigs in here, so it's very tight. Nice thing about it is it's right behind some restaurants right here on the road. Plus you can hop on your bike, cross at the light right here, and then you're on a bike path into Key West. So those three are the closest campgrounds to Key West. They're all three private RV parks. And that is it. That's the Florida Keys. Not a lot to it. It's basically, there's not a lot to it because they're islands in a small space. We have all of them listed on the website, campgroundviews.com. You can plan your trip and also find out where you're going to stay on the way down there. We have over 400 parks in Florida on film for you to see. And we're here to help you when you're planning your trip to Key West. Hope this has been helpful. If you like it, follow the YouTube channel. We'll be posting more of these webinars pretty soon. My name is Marquette. I'm with campgroundviews.com. Thank you and goodbye.